Dámy a pánové, ladies and gentlemen, in January of this year, we commemorated the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz and the end of the Second World War. I had the honor to participate at the Holocaust Remembrance ceremony that took place at the castle here in Prague in the presence of a number of survivors of the Shoah. The European Commission is very aware of the difficult situation in which Holocaust survivors in some countries find themselves. Often they live on a bare minimum. They are deprived of decent pensions and social welfare and thus still suffer from the consequences of Shoah. To remit the situation is the primary aim of this conference. As was agreed in the Terezin Declaration of 2009, signed at the time by 46 countries. It is unacceptable that those who suffered so greatly during the earlier part of their lives should live under impoverished circumstances at the end. I could not agree more, and I very much regret not being able to be with you today. The European Union has no competence or legal basis for action regarding social services and welfare support in general. Welfare systems fall 100% under the competence of the national governments. However, I very much welcome the initiative taken by the Czech government together with the Shoah Legacy Institute and others to give an important impetus to governments to ensure that survivors of the Holocaust and other victims at their advanced age finally receive the adequate social welfare support and necessary basic care. This is a question of respect, human dignity, and moral responsibility. Why the EU's hands are tied regarding the welfare systems and direct payments? The European Commission has important instruments at hand to ensure that future generations will remember the legacy of the Shoah. In line with the Terezin Declaration, the Commission has developed a remembrance strand under the Europe for Citizens programme. Under this strand, the Commission finances projects on Europe as a peace project. We must keep the memories of the past alive while we build the future. The programme supports initiatives which reflect on the causes of, among others, the Holocaust and the other Nazi crimes. Solid education about the past is a prerequisite for building on an inclusive and open-minded future. Also, the European Commission, like the European Parliament, have started holding Holocaust commemoration ceremonies on the 27th of January and has recently started holding internal seminars to ensure that Commission staff continues to be aware of the Shoah and its implications for Europe and the European peace project. Ladies and gentlemen, with great worry we notice that anti-Semitism is on the rise in Europe once again. A Jewish school in Toulouse in 2013, the Brussels Jewish Museum in 2014, a kosher supermarket in Paris last January, a synagogue in Copenhagen in February. In some parts of Europe, Jews live in daily fear of their livelihood. Schools, synagogues and other Jewish buildings need to be protected by the police. It is appalling that 70 years after the end of the Shoah, the livelihood of Jews is once again endangered. This is not the Europe we want to build. Recently, the European Commission adopted the European Security Agenda, We agreed on strengthening security through disrupting international criminal networks, preventing terrorism and addressing radicalization and recruitment, raising levels of security for citizens and businesses in cyberspace, as well as strengthening security through border management. But security and protection, prevention, education and remembrance cannot be the only answer. The attacks over the past months have challenged some of our deepest values. We must also ensure that those who deny the Holocaust, who incite to hatred, who engage in anti-Semitic and racist hate speech and crime are brought to trial in line with European legislation. As European Commissioner for Justice and Consumers, you have my commitment that we will call on those EU member states that have not yet fully implemented this important European legislation. The European Union and I personally will do our utmost to guarantee a safe future for the Jewish people in Europe. Jewish people must not fear for their lives in Europe once again. It would be a clear failure for Europe if Jewish people and other communities did not regard Europe as a home anymore. We must fight this battle together. If Jews have no future in Europe, Europe has no future either. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a fruitful conference with tangible outcomes for the survivors of the Shoah and other victims and improvements for their everyday lives.